All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to find out how to use my graphing calculator better. Basically, there are pictures on here that kind of show you the things to do. Some of them are a little bit hard to see, I won't lie. This I got as the PDF from the online table that I'm going to give you. Just take a look at this. This is there's a PDF online that I want you to copy in these things, like clear out the functions if necessary, like re-push the graph here when completed the window. Really, other than that, I just want you to kind of annotate this page, kind of go through, underline things that seem to be important. One thing I want you to recognize here is the y equals button is this button right there on your calculator. You can see it. Let me show you the real calculator. It's right there. It says y equals. We talked about that on the last page, and graph, to be able to graph them, is your other button there, okay? Excuse me. So that was this graph button is right there. That is not something that I put on the other page. Please make sure to do that, okay? Just going to the next page. Again, there's just some things in here I want to make sure that you're getting. Right here on number 7 is the first place that you're going to be entering data in. And again, it's just finding the point of intersection between those 2 points. I want you to tell me what the x and y values were there, okay? Same thing here. You're going to be entering data here. There are a couple of points here of an intersection that I want you to find, right here, okay? And you'll be able to kind of plug it in and work through it. And you might have to do this here. Make sure you're seeing this. Move your cursor left or right if necessary to get on a graph. Sometimes, if you just press second trace 5, enter 3 times, it won't give you an answer. So you might have to use the left or right buttons. What I mean is these buttons right here, okay? If I have, let me turn my computer calculator on. If I want to find second trace 5, second trace 5, and I want to find those, so you can see where the cursor is right now, but I can move it. See it going? Right there is to the left, right there is to the right of that point of intersection, and go from there, okay? It will break down some things in here in terms of how you need to find this. After the point of intersection, I'll talk more about that. But again, you're going to fill in points here. What you find using, just follow the directions right on here, ladies and gentlemen. And I've reminded you of how to do some things too, okay? Next page. This shouldn't be a very long video because it's not really teaching you how to do it. It's just teaching you what's here. Right here, I factored this. So what would x equal? Write those here. And then I actually want you to go through the problem. So again, you're going to go y equals, and you're going to press the graph button right here, okay? Then instead of going second trace 5, we're going to do second trace 2 right here to find 0, because the second selection on here is for 0. Okay. Then you go to the next page, and again, it's really breaking it down for you here. On the next page, I'm telling you that x equals -4 is one of the solutions, or we can rewrite it as -4, 0. I want you to go find the other one. So you use the process here. It tells you how to do this. Go just to the right, right bound, go just to the right of 0. When it tells you left bound, you stay to the left, and so on, okay? You'll see it as you're going through it, okay? You've got GCF this one, just so that you can see that. We're going to go second trace 2 again there. I need you to input some data here. I need you to input some data here. In other words, you're filling in these values after you find it from that formula, okay? This is not factorable, so we would have to do it this way, or else you'd have to use the quadratic formula, which I don't think you want to use, excuse me. Second trace 3 talks about trying to find the minimum, okay, which can only be found on a graph that has a minimum, usually on parabolas, right? And then it wants you to fill in right here that data. Could I use the opposite of b over 2a from that formula to do it? Absolutely I could, right? If I go the opposite of b is 6 over 2 times 2, 6 over 4 is 1.5. That's going to be this answer, okay? But I still want you to find it using your minimum in your calculator, okay? All right, so next page. Don't worry about this stuff up at the top because you're actually doing it down here. It's just a little confusing. You might need to fix the window right here. Fix window 2. I'll show you how to do that. Let's go right here to window, okay? And I want you to go from y to go negative 20 to 20, and for x to go from negative 30 to 30. Actually, negative 20 to 20 is not going to get my points in here. It's only going to work from negative 30 to 30. And you can do the same in the x. So what I mean by that is you go to x min and you type in negative 30, and y min is positive 30. You go to y min and type in negative 30, and y max is positive 30, and then you press graph and it regraphs your things for you. Now, this is still the function from a couple of graphs ago, but instead of going by ones, it's going by threes. It's going up to 30 instead of up to 10. Okay? So you could do that for this last one. It's actually trying to tell you that right here in terms of fixing your window, and it's trying to explain these things here too, and it shows a picture of the window there. Okay? You've got zeros here. It's kind of hard to write it in here, but there are two solutions. I suppose if you wanted to, you could probably just write them like this and plug in the answers. Now, if they're zeros, they better have 0 right here, and you can see that when you type in zeros anyway. All right, so your homework is to use the graphing calculator to do the next 2 pages, 1 through 9 all. You're going to need a graphing calculator for this, okay? You can see 1 through 6 on the next page. Really, I don't want you to do it any other way besides plug in this function, plug in that function, and then find their point of intersection. That's the first 4 problems. It's really just point of intersection. Then it says 0. So again, when it says up here solve, this is point of intersection, and that's the second trace 5. Okay? Then zeros, well, are zeros. There's a part in here that talks about how to find that. Okay, it's second trace. Let me just look at it. It's second trace 2. Okay? Then you go here and it's asking min or max. Remember that's second trace 3 or 4 depending on which one it is. And the axis symmetry is just the x value of vertex. Right? You know that. Do the same thing on 9 as well. Okay? That's it for this. Please make an effort on this. Read through it. This is going to help make sense of it, especially for you kids who are juniors or sophomores that have to take the SAT. You get to use one of these on the SAT. You should know how to use it better to your advantage. For some of these problems, like I said earlier, I'd have to use a quadratic formula to solve that. No, I could just plug it right into my calculator and it does it for me. So check it out. Get to know it better. We'll talk more about this when I return.